Well, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the book of Ecclesiastes in the words of Kohelet as he leads us through this cavern called wisdom. But he shows us the usefulness of it, gives us some traditional wisdom and not always traditional wisdom. Like this very notion of not being evil to the excess or too much. What? Yeah, but we understood that together last time around. Still, in all that, he reminds us that wisdom can't fix everything. Because we have a God who bends things we can't unbend, even with wisdom. He will once again show us how wisdom will not answer everything, but not before telling us this. Wisdom gives strength to the wise man more than 10 rulers who are in the city. The word rulers here really speaks of a sovereign, absolute rule. Think of dictators. So you got 10 men like Saddam Hussein and Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, all grouped together and no miss in the city, which is an idea of they're protected, they're safe. So they're mega leaders, well protected, and you, with simple wisdom, can defeat them all. Doesn't that sound amazing? And doesn't it sound like traditional wisdom too? How many things does Proverbs tell us how wisdom is greater than the best riches and the strongest men and just the best thing you could ever ask for? So here's Kohelet saying, yeah, exactly. Wisdom is the most powerful weapon. Yet, surely there is not a righteous man on earth who does good and never sins. It almost sounds like it's just another saying, right? Another teaching. Like it's just pop, 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 pop. He's throwing a bunch of ideas out. Wisdom's good, will of sinners. But actually in the Hebrew, the way it's written, it's really interconnected. It's really two sayings grouped together, saying the same thing. It's almost like he's saying, yes, wisdom is an amazing weapon that you could use against the strongest man. And surely you can't use it because you're a sinner. That's kind of where he's going. It's like he set up a big chess game before us. And he's speaking about the 10 best players of all time. It shows us the best strategy to beat all 10 of them through wisdom. And after he's done that, he flips the table, pieces go everywhere, and says, guess what? You'll never be able to beat them because you're still a sinner. What? Doesn't it sound like it's contradicting typical Old Testament wisdom? I mean, the whole book of Proverbs is saying, live like this and you'll be blessed. But Kohelet says, you can't do it. Now, it might not sound like the Old Testament, but it sounds a lot like the New, though. Like all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. No, not one person follows after God. Sounds more like what he's saying, right? Well, we like this notion that we can be faithful and do the right thing. The New Testament says, no, you can't. And you need grace. It's even Paul in Romans 7 speaks of that battle. Where we have the law of God written in our hearts. But there's also the law of sin, fighting and struggling to keep us from fully and completely obeying it. We prefer the notion of follow these steps and go through this program and you'll be delivered from sins. Or pray and fast and you'll see great things happening in your life. But here's the New Testament, and Kohelet as well, saying, yeah, but you can't do it because you're a sinner. You'll always fail. You'll always be unfaithful. And you need grace and mercy and God's forgiveness. Okay, but what do we do with this though? And what's the point of telling me that with wisdom I can do amazing things, but I'll never be able to use it properly because I'm a sinner? Why do I need to know this? which is a great question. And he's going to explain it. He's going to apply it with just 2 little verses. Yeah, that'll be it, actually. Because when we get to verse 23, he actually leads into another direction, which we'll look at in another video. But for now, we're just going to apply this by looking at 2 verses, 21 and 22, together. Because they go together. He says this: do not take to heart all the things that people say. Lest you hear your servant cursing you. Your heart knows that many times you yourself have cursed others. Simply said, don't be bothered. Don't be frustrated when somebody sins against you, because you sin against others, including God, of course. See, he gives us an example. Your servant cursing you. And says, don't get irritated. Don't think about how you're going to beat that evil servant, because you have done it to other more powerful than you, including God, and he did not beat you. It is a reminder, again, just like in the New Testament, just like when Jesus tells us not to judge the speck, that's the word, speck in the eyes of your brothers and sisters, their sins, while forgetting the log in your own eye. Being completely blind to how sinful, right, you are, while focusing on the sins of everybody else. Now, so the New Testament tells us to forgive those who sin against us as we've been forgiven. Jesus taught us the same thing, right? You must forgive the little things people do because of the big ways you sin against God. You covered all these multitude of sins with love. Here's Quad. Quad saying that hundreds and hundreds of years before. In his own way. He's bringing it home in a way that's not what we typically hope for. We prefer this notion of powerful wisdom, doing great things. But instead we have the humbling reminder, you're a sinner. Be gracious to others as God is gracious to you. This is what we need to hear. In a day and age where we're quick to judge and criticize brothers and sisters, their weak faith, their weak walk, their sinful behavior, to attack others who are not like us, and yet completely forget we are just as bad. We're just as bad sinners as everybody else. We need to be reminded of this to keep us humble in our interactions with one another. We need such a simple message. May it speak to us and strike in our hearts, dear brothers and sisters. On this note, be blessed.